welcome to our lovely future humans, to the 5D Collective. And to those who are new, if you want, tune on into our other episode before you continue with this one, which has stories. The episode should be how to be emotionally intelligent. Be yourself the smart way, stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable, which also involves you being mental, emotional, and physical, the master of yourself. So mastery of emotional, mental, and physical means you're an integrated brain, in case you didn't know, and you own the sense of self. Luckily for me, in fact, if you tune into our IHP show, I think of yesterday, you'll find out, since as a teenager, I've been honored to have Maria right here, and then as a mystic, channeler, downloader, prophet, guru, enlightened one, words that for an integrated brain, mystic means the same as any of those who, let me see. So while our books came along in their time and in their places in the world, those who are using the integrated brain, it's called a conciliant approach. We don't fight about using words wrong. And we don't actually go and pick words apart in the way that a left brain alone does. So I'm just going to pause before we continue because I'm having a good time building a community of emotionally intelligent ones. That's the only group of people that will be inspiring human potential, because otherwise they're not yet human in the way of owning, observing, witnessing, narrating sense of self. So when I get the blank stare, there's no energy vampire. I said, look, you told me you're going to therapy. Great. Once you're done and integrated, that means your window of tolerance to your emotional plane and your nervous system would become a window welcome. That means you know self-regulation. You do not need co-regulating. In fact, what you're going to actively do, like I do it, thanks to Dr. Daniel Siegel, is you're going to differentiate more, because when you're in a room with humans, due to the fact that we're all one species independently from the country, our embodied brain, the biology of me and you, are all the same. So, please, the kingdom of God, like Jesus points out, is within everyone. The seed of enlightenment, like Sadhguru points out, is within everyone. God doesn't shame his children. Encourages, strengthens, challenges, and gives them comfort. The bad grown-ups are continuing with their legacy of self-righteous, contemptuous batons. The one way they like to always wield their mouth is evil, Lucifer, monsters, and you just think, wow, the only buffoons who fall for that, well, I'm not it. It's all the adaptive child part people who give scarlet letters out to each other, and as they throw feuds, I just watch from afar, which is what all the 5D Collective, mystic, spiritual, mindful living, loving, intentionally living is this. So we all come together here at IHP together, and then I'm the storyteller, get to make fun of the 4D, 3D Collective, and the ones who think, oh my God, she's such an evil bitch, witch, or whatever words come out of their mouth, that really, that's all the best they can do. So in the meantime, when I did go to academia, I loved every moment of it. And then I said, you know, when I was 8, I decided I was going to help people when I grew up. Yes, I'm going to help people to live a good life. And I followed my heart. And to this day, I do help people to live a good life. The ones who want to. And that's why, let me tell you about my teenage boyfriend, because cowards are all the same. So all I have to tell you is about one coward to let you know what I do with cowards. Nothing. Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus. Jesus, come here. Come here, Jesus. Come. Hold on a minute. So, hey, Buddha, come on over here. Hold on a minute. Ascended Masters. So I'm being asked, by the way, to come to you and let you hear channeling, downloading, all that as an intuitive. Once we have our tiers, because it's only for the IHP community. So when I have lives, I like to have fun and play names and all that great stuff. But as for the channeling, I've told him, I said, I'm not saying no. I'm saying when we have our 5D collective, our actual order of Melchizedek, our actual galactic beings, our actual people from the future, whoever they may be, out of mystics and spiritual. The sciences, they like to have fun with us because we say, look, you can call us woo-woo pseudoscience. When we come out, we're not like, oh my God, my family just said that Maria smoked some shit because she's talking about her future husband. Oh, I love it when it happens, because that's actually what happens. And when someone says to you while they're being recruited by a cult, recruited, whatever the word is, and people who confuse cult and gurus, they don't know the difference. I do. The only ones who don't know the difference are the same ones who, again, they think that a cult leader actually is a leader. No, that's a person who needs a therapist like everybody else who follows that person. And then they need to all go to therapy. And then they all need to continue going to therapy until they stop watching their fucking back, because their faith in humanity was broken since a very young age. I don't have this faith broken thing. I got human beings who are the badass, and then I got cowards who, as you get older, become really, what's the word? Hold on for it. Just give me a minute. Emotionally mature people, we trace the lines of our own scars, yes, as beautiful, and it's not delusional or distorting. It's that I can cry Zen master with my prefrontal cortex. That's why I'm an emotionally intelligent woman, and there's emotionally intelligent men. The ones who numb it, they like to continue numbing through self-soothing mechanisms that are unhealthy. And that's all the drinking and the drugging and the fucking and the eating and the binge watching and and all of it. And I have no beef with anyone. You can either be unhealthy or you can be healthy. You get to choose. God gives you free will. The scientists all have the same thing to say. It's likely that people won't break their bad habits even with willpower. Yeah, I don't think it's likely or unlikely. I think that you're going to either be smart, stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable, and be yourself, or there's all of those groups over here. And Gargamel and I get to hang out every now and then. I get to hang out with the Smurfs. Okay, great. So the 5D collective, being emotionally intelligent, it is something that I've been doing since I was a teenager. Continue to do it as a grown-up. It's priceless, because when you do see morons consistently following each other around, and you think of Schopenhauer's quote, well, if you want to appeal to a large audience, appeal to the masses. Well, I'm appealing to the 5D masses. As for the 3D, 4D masses, they don't usually know that they are it. And that's because their magical thinking completely is amazing. So anytime they're getting a download, a hit, they make it into their mission to let you know, hey, come on over, because we're the saviors of the world. And you think, wow, am I watching an action movie? Ooh, I used to love those. Now I get to watch real life people do it. Hey, I spotted a couple of great podcasts. Come. Let's get the popcorn and let's go sit down and watch them. So right now, what I'm trying to let you know is 5D living means that you can forgive. Yes, check. You do choose healthy self-soothing mechanisms because you have healthy self-worth, because you have healthy self-everything, because you own the sense of self and you're emotionally intelligent, which is the only way you're going to ever be intelligent for real. Other than that, you're going to be a regurgitation of material, not you. But that's all the people who don't know there's not a one-size-fits-all to anyone. Science and spirituality proves it. But first, you need to get your body online, because otherwise you don't have your embodied brain online. I'm sorry, brain, mind, body. Yes, if you don't have health, you don't have wisdom, as Hippocrates would point out. And people who don't like discipline, they don't want to heal for real. So when you do meet the ones who are, what I'm going to say is lazy, they're not lazy, but they are not wanting to hear the good news that work can be done to self-regulate independently of all the other ones around you. So to expand a window of tolerance to a window welcome, to learn to self-regulate in your consistent ventral vagal state. And so equanimity is the name, and they've said they're trying to cage us up. That's how people work when their 2-year-old is making up a story because their 16-year-old wants to stay in drama king and drama queen and dopamine yucky hits. Low visceral. So once they grow up, they sound like this man that I saw playing Russian roulette, who his voice was just so beautiful. I was like, wow, it's an amazing voice, but my gut's just telling me something's fucking off with this guy. Something's off. Shh, be quiet. Let's wait. You need to sit silently, left brain. Hold on for it. Let's go to sleep. I fell asleep. I wake up. My gut is fuming. I think of Stephen Porges as he points out what love really is, like Eric Fromm will point out and anybody else. So when you can sit securely attached with no trauma charges of any sort with people and basically socialize. And so ventral vagal state people, and that's the only time you're going to have your prefrontal open, your heart open, and your gut open. While when I meet somebody who's like this, and their default mode network is helpless, so it's a child that I get to meet, Maria. They won't know they're a child. I'll know there's your 8-year-old, and I'll get to meet their blabbermouth, which is an adaptive child, 16-year-old, and I don't do anything with them because when I was a teenager, I learned what they would do. Wait for the stories. So we do moderation with vices and good diets. Yes. Okay. So when you do have the goody two-shoe name right here, and you sit always in the front of class, and you ask for homework on Friday evenings, and you continue to do so. I'm 14. I learned what cowards did. 15. I decided I'm busy with life. I got a boyfriend. I got my BFFF of all times. I got my crew. Awesome. Okay. Great. So now we're priceless in the story of Maria to share with you all. You're not me and I'm not you, but I'm here for the 5D collective as we are going to get together and inspire human potential, because we're not the lazy ones. So sorry, we are not the unhealed ones who disregard that therapy can all get people healed, and then once they're done healing and they can self-regulate, now the big fun begins, that you have someone who says, I want life now, and you think, in my mind's eye, I got a little girl who's being completely physically frightened as we speak. I got a human being who did therapy, got money, got a bunch of degrees, is now voicing how amazing all of this is, and then I want life now, like the Zen master who says you can't be an enlightenment. You have laundry. What he really just meant to say was be careful for charlatans. He's one of them because he's a liar. Intentional living means you know what intent means, which means you have to use prefrontal, which I determined with Robert Sapolsky's book. He might be right, because I've seen a bunch of people being determined by their 0-8-year-old. So what happens when a teenager grows up to know all of what I just told you without needing any of the attachment trauma education? Okay, great. Are you ready for stories? So you've all heard it if you've been here before. And a fool with a tool is still a fool. Yeah, I'm a fool. I'm a fool in a way that is beautiful, though. Well, at least that's for myself. But I'm always going to be beautiful to myself because I'm self-centered, don't you know? It's a selfish world out there. I'm selfish just like anybody else. Don't come plug my nose. So when people don't understand why I laugh at individuals who think that their actual capacity to give you their tidbits, I'm going to explain to you, because if you're new, you want to understand neuroscience, neurobiology, amazing. If you are a person who's owning yourself and you hear all of what they explain, you're like, yep. PDP framework, spot on. The Enneagram, not so much, but still works pretty much close. It's a lot of different things that I can tell you about Maria. So when I'm downloading, channeling is a very different timbre. God's voice is very clear, discerning, equanimous, loving, protective. He challenges, he strengthens, he comforts, and he supports. And for me, he reminds me to stay on the ground and have humility. He taught me how not to play know-it-all. Jesus taught me how to forgive, and he also taught me how to be able to reassure my own 0-1-year-old when I would meet brokenheartedness. And so when I think of Jesus, there's this one moment I have with him and it's all about love. We're talking about love, and I'm not going to tell you, it's an intimate one, but I remember because as I'm speaking these thoughts, he's coming and he's making sure that I know what foolishness is coming out of my mouth. And so I get to laugh with him. I'm like, fine. And as I've told you before, real warriors are of heart, not of gut, because those are stupid ones, and they lived in our ancestors' times. We don't actually need those types of warriors in the future because, well, the cosmos is amazing, right? But also our species consistently evolves. So when you know humanity isn't broken, and that the ones who are broken, they're either going to get fixed, because that's how it works when they love themselves first, or they pretend to be fixed, and that's why they just use words like mental fitness as a lifestyle, and then they never do intentional living, and then they scribble on boards and they tell you that we're liars, and we think, yeah, sure I am. Sure, I can't actually have you live my ventral energy because it's something that I won't be able to give you. I can be in my ventral energy, remind your body of what it's capable of. The left brain of yours is the one that is wielding your mouth because you're already dysregulated and you think that you're doing great with emotions, while I know you're numbing yourself completely, and you're completely pseudo-alive, and you're also completely not knowing how to wield the good sides of neuroplasticity. So when Dr. Amy Pigan points out neuroception, it's not about the way reality actually is. That's why if you wanted to be triumphant, like The Art of War, that quote I've read to you before, you would know your enemy, but humans aren't enemy. You want to know yourself and others. So once you learn neuroscience and neurobiology, you're like, wow, I'm an embodied brain. If I learn how to work my 14-month-old, my emotions won't manage me. I never thought of it that way. I just knew Maria. It's okay. We don't like that somebody's going to tell us what to eat, but it's healthy. And in fact, to this day, tomorrow's my review. Don't worry, we're going to have a live or something. I'm going to tell you how it went, because it's all becoming consistently more and more beneficial. So science doesn't disprove spirituality, but you don't live great off of thin air. But then again, it's because I have a body that works with its ventral vagal state. So good resilience. And so restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, regulating, it's meaning I reflect. So when I have any emotional charges, they're not trauma charges, because my window is of welcome. You see? Okay, so window welcome means you don't scribble on a board. Awesome. Okay, So as a teenager, I'm not thinking of my scars as something that I'm going to be like crying about and bringing to your pain point. 45.0 version, because every year of my life I've been expanding. So when someone says I'm 2.0, like, what? You just told me you're 2. What happened to all your other years of life? When someone says you have to change, I think you don't know those who have own our sense of self. We don't feel changed. But of course, I've grown more flexible. In fact, I've grown knowledgeable. You know what? I've grown wise. I curse now. Am I changed? No, I realized a bunch of people like to act fancy. They act like they have integrity and morality with their mouths, and I really don't like hypocrites or liars. And I really learned that I like to express myself in any way, shape, or form I want. Why should I bother with caring about society's actual opinion when a zillion of them are immature, double standards, as adaptive child part will always be? So when you meet cowards, they're not losers, they're not winners. They're actually pretending to be badass, which is one of the things that I can cringe at. Why do I get irritated? Because I have no beef telling you exactly how I think. And see, that's what happens when you're a 3-year-old who has a twin and you fight like a cat and dog and you don't actually have fear of fucking it up. And when someone says you let him get away, my teenage boyfriend, I said, who, my dog? Because I didn't realize I had a dog. I didn't have him on a leash. Is that what you think a relationship is? A ball and a chain? No. If I can't have fun with you all the time, I don't know what we're doing together, because seriously, I don't need someone who's going to weigh me down when life already has a bunch of people weighing each other down. As life is very precious. I got a miracle. It's called a gift. Thank you, God. I'm going to appreciate it. So when you're literal and you actively know how to wield your ventral energy, it's not a sacrifice to open-endedly think. And that's why courageous and strong are the words of the therapists who teach us about open inquiry. Think, I'm curious, open-hearted, curious, courageous, strong. No, I mean, I'm pretty sure if someone came up with a knife, I'd be freezing and maybe I would, shit my pants or something. So no, I'm pretty sure I'm not courageous or strong. I'm just going to say I'm emotionally stable and mature enough to know how to wield my embodied brain. So I don't want a prize. Can we move forward? Thank you. And that's the minute of people. They're lying. They're delusional. They must be pretending. Okay, so when you understand how human beings out there work and you think, wow, does everybody not know how to do crying? I mean, I know that girls are meant to cry and be big girls, but I know boys that can cry and be big boys. That's what it means to have deep emotions. So when you hear men who think that all women want men to be, there's a word that this guy used. I'm like, no, I'm not into any of that kind of man. That's not a man. That's actually a man that I'm going to stay away from, like completely. Anytime I think of any man who thinks that somebody wants you to don't grab me, and no, you're actually now a physical threat to me, because that's it. I'm not even messing around. So the actual way this man talks about it, I know exactly what he's talking about and why, and that's a whole other story. So yeah, that's where I've met women that talk about things the way this man was talking about, which is why I know who he's talking about. But when he says most women, that's a fake, that I don't need the most. It's not true. You didn't do an analysis of the 8 billion people that are out there, so don't give it to me as the most of anything. Furthermore, if you have insecure women, well, no shit, Sherlock, like insecure men. Insecure women will say, women, gather around. When they fuck you, remember, don't think it. And I'm a secure woman thinking what? I'm what was it, 43? And by the time I was 14, I knew that what happens after you're fuckable. You know what happens? Does anybody know what ignorant men and women tell you by the time you're 14? Please, come. Let's see if you know. Anyone? Come. Trash, Trash. This is by the time I'm 14, 15, I got all these men and women young kids using these words, and now I'm 45 and I'm watching TV shows do the same shit. So I'm like, yeah, no, wedding bells, really, you're trash, don't you know? In fact, a man confirms it. Because once I don't get a text back after being fucked, apparently there's contempt discussed towards me once pulling out and shame. So when I hear on YouTube all of this and then I watch millions follow it, I'm like, wow. And then I see them out on the street continue to talk the way they talk. I'm like, it's not about most. Is that you're continuing to perpetuate stereotypes, generalizations, talk like everybody wants this kind of shit. Some of us are smart enough to know what love is. That ain't it. Actually, it's really disgusting and I would say dehumanizing, objectifying. I think you have no idea what love is. In fact, you have no idea, not you, but the people who talk like this, because love is the oxytocin gene hormone, which means I can physically feel safe with you. And if you want to pretend to hold me in any shape, way, or form like our barbaric ancestors, you ain't safe, because you're a man and I'm a woman and I'm 4'9". And even a woman wouldn't be safe, but that's where it's a whole different story for some of us. So when someone talks to me about safety, and then they talk to me about love, and then they talk to me about this kind of stuff, I'm like, yeah, that has nothing to do with love. It has everything to do with the visceral. That's actually, as Stephen Porges points out, unsafe. We need our sympathetic for the bears. I'm not with bears. I choose a man and not a bear, by the way, instinctively. That's how my smart brain works. And then I say, can I pick the man? I know who I want to pick. I choose. I know how to be smart about it. I got a good gut. I'm a woman with a good gut. And I've told women with bad guts and men with bad guts, hey, look, that's not a relationship. They're emotionally unavailable. Do you know what happens when you meet grown-ups who are still doing teenage stuff and you're an actual tarot reader? FYI, we're going through change again. So there's all those women and men, dark night of soul, ego death. They're going through torture. And I think, again, wow, I'm really starting to think determined. Robert Sapolsky, you may be on to something, because I'm like, am I 15 again? Just a 45-year-old version of myself, and now I'm looking at 45 and 50-year-olds, and then I don't know what the teenagers are doing, except for I do know it's unfortunate business. I'm not going to talk about it. So let me tell you, if you're a grown human being, and a teenage human being who knows what self-love is, don't fuck with my biosphere. I will send you somewhere, meaning sayonara. It's the third time. Make up your mind. What do you want in life? Because I have things to do. Fourth time, look him in the eyes. I know you did it. No, I did. Yeah, you did. I told a friend, and then I got to find out something even more disturbing. No, it wasn't. I didn't have any kind of like, wow, oh my God, no way. I just thought, wow, that's really, wow. So I find out that I actually had a New Year's Eve where already this stuff was going on. And that's how cowards work, which is why my faith in humanity, men, women, is not broken. It's just cowards are always the same lame-ass cowards, which is where you go to Terry Real, you find out what people do with unfinished business, or Pat Ogden. So it's not impressive to go to YouTube and find out that there's a bunch of more drama kings and drama queens. And when the full moon hits, guess what you get to do? You get to expand if you're empowered. If you're not, then, well, I mean, I got 4D mystics still living their twin flame thing like tragedy, continuing to wait to be tested some more. I got a bunch of spiritual bypasser people who continue to see things because they're ignoring their own embodied brain. And then, well, there's the ones who don't actually know how to bring together all of it. But putting all those things aside, my facade friend, I don't know how he's doing. I think I should reach out to him. But he's gotten so sensitive that I'm like, can't even have fun with him anymore, because now he's just like lame and boring. And that's how it works when you meet cowards. As they grow up, they become like grumpy, Gargamel. So worst case scenario, if you are how old, 20, 30, I don't know, you fun, come hang out with us. We're going to have a good time. And as for the smart ones, they're having a good time too, because none of us are like, oh my God, let's cry a river for all those people who are ignoring getting themselves healthy again. I can't actually have pity parties for people, because that's disrespectful. So when people say, don't pity me, Maria, as I'm trying to support them, I'm like, I'm not pitying you. I actually was doing the friend thing. You were talking to me, and I'm so sorry. I wanted to give you a hug. Oh, wait, they explained to me what this is. It's you, a teenage version of a person who's now projecting and upset at the person who's supporting them because my ventral energy is off-putting because they want to be in the shithole. Then don't come to me. I don't do shithole shit. So that's how it works when you're always on a high. People who don't want the high will shit on you for being there as a friend in the good times, bad times, and you just get used to people not knowing what they want in life. So cowards stay the same. This is why I don't really pity anyone. It's called free will, or determined, from Robert Sapolsky. And so when you grow up being yourself, no, I haven't changed. I've become more of the smart ass, but I've learned how to keep my mouth shut so that I don't have to waste my time with people who actively don't know how to wield their mouths or their brains or their emotions, because that reminds me of what about it is right, it feels right. Wow. Another one who's actually thinking enlightenment is a trap due to the fact that there's not enough emotional resiliency going on. Do you know what open-ended inquiry is, by the way? Just wondering. So I told you about Jesus, right? So Jesus and I had a moment, and I love that moment. And then God and I have a moment too, as I'm being broken free from this 4D bandwidth, which is basically Patrick McNamara explains decentralizing the self and how it goes well, and that's why you expand consciousness when you own the sense of self, and it's also called you integrate more of your brain. So the bright sides of neuroplasticity, and that's why when you own the sense of self, you're not changed. Thank you, Dr. Dennis Siegel, one of his courses. And when you tell people this and they think you're a whack job, and even the scientists are like, okay, you know what? You must have met only insecure human beings who only use a helpless brain. I have no helplessness here. Does it look like I'm helpless? Anyone know what helplessness means to a person who's literal? It would mean that I'm stuck under a rock and that I can't physically move. I have never been in that situation, otherwise I'd be physically dead. So as long as I'm not physically stuck somewhere, and that means by a rock, because if it's a human, I could actually potentially negotiate my way out of something. Okay, so this is where I'm not joking right now. So when I hear the word helpless, I think, okay, I understand technically speaking all those children who need therapy that are grown-ups, because whenever I'm around them, they're quivering and I need to move away from them because I can't handle myself in that moment. Because I know that if I stare them down, they're going to capture that, which is me saying, did you say you were grown up? Because I actually don't know a grown up in front of me. I can perceive a 0, 1 to 3. I don't know how old are you? I got a dentist who doesn't accept that he doesn't know how to do teeth cleanings, and he keeps writing me. It's an 11-year-old version of himself. The perfectionist that's not healthy. And instead of accepting defeat, growing the fuck up and learning how, you don't give teeth cleanings. Now he's become obsessive about it, and I think it's hilarious. And I think he could go to therapy to heal it, but he won't. And I'm not engaging with it because healthy self-worth people know exactly what to do. With cowards, nothing. Because again, if I even bother trying to engage with it, I'm not talking to a human who's actually interested in the other human being that they're engaging with. I'm just a pawn in now what's become a very horrendous, I think, thought for this human being. Because he's gone really out of his way. He's created a little picture with, really, I was like, wow, fuck, he doesn't have a marketer. I know he doesn't, and he's doing this shit. And I'm going to wait and see how many years this goes for. Oh my gosh, that's so sad. Okay, so this is why I'm so sorry I got sidetracked. But yeah, as a teenager, I was like, I don't waste my time thinking of this teenage boyfriend in ways. As I got older, I just didn't think people would actually think that I let him get away. Like, not my dog. I'm happy for them. I thought we would be friends from the get-go. We became friends eventually because I'm the one who's like, you are part of my oversoul. And in fact, actually, I prayed and I had archangels come visit me, and then with the oversoul. So you know what's fun about being a mystic and being an empowered mystic, though, not the ones who actually make up shit with each other. Here's the deal. You don't insult your brothers or sisters. You don't insult people of low frequency. I know people think I'm trying to be high. No, low frequency people could get higher. They don't want to. If they did, then they would do it. Emotionally immature people, there's a reason why they're immature. If they get their window of welcome, then they'll be coming and joining us. It's not hard for some of us. We're self-led. The ones who have a hard time, I tip my hat to Kylie. She's a narcissist. She's healing. I do not tip my hat to the lady who says, see, narcissists aren't healable. My colleagues are against me. No, I know she's there for the ones who want her to be their Peter Pan. That's what she's there for, because that's the only reason. How dare you actually insult a human being and a lot more who are trying to heal? You're making a blanket statement out of something called what you think is that nobody's going to heal. I see someone healing and getting hate mail. Then I see a smart therapist. Lovely Dr. Daniel Fox explained exactly what happens when a BPD gets to be in a situation where they're loved. You know how sad it is to find out what happens? And Kylie confirms it. In fact, I will never forget her story about her and her sociopath boyfriend. He knew, so he didn't throw any of the stuff away when she flips out on him and is like rejecting because he proposed to her or something like that. And she flipped out on him. And you know what's sad is people who don't have awareness because they don't acknowledge they have a problem, and they don't go and find Dr. Daniel Fox. When I found him, and as he's explaining, so someone will test kindness to the bejesus of it. They will also think neutrality is a lie, so that I'm hiding a sword behind my back. When they have a favorite person, and Kylie is a narcissist, and she's in remission from BPD. So when you actually see those who are healing, you say, I tip my hat to those people, not to grown-ups who have titles and don't deserve those titles, and who are harboring resentment because some shit was done to them, which I understand, but stop actually limiting the capacity for human beings to learn about things. So when you see people say scientists are not in favor of being on one, yeah, they're always against each other, because you got ignorant people all over the place who are trying to prove their own one box fits all. But those are all stupid people, because if you're smart, then you understand how science works. It builds data. You know where the quantitative is, and that's why you're not arguing with anybody. I don't come here to prove shit. I come here to talk about stuff, and then to say mystics and spiritual, mindful, living, loving, emotion, intelligent ones are part of the 5D collective. It's not a race. You get to consciously choose if you're going to be the best version of yourself. The highest timeline is you being yourself, but you can manifest in your low frequency, because God is good, always. So perfection is not that the world is perfect. No, because we're flawed and imperfect. We're made of flesh, don't you remember? But there isn't a monster who's guiding people to be very much shame on them. No, it's their actual left brain, and then a bunch of other people who get to have each other's back, that they get to become bullies, and then they want to go give scarlet letters to, like the lady who's like, see, narcissists aren't healable, and she's interpreting her data. No, she's interpreting data by other scientists, but she's isolated herself from the other scientists. What does a discerning, equanimous, and loving brain do? Thank you, God. I know you are isolating yourself, and you're talking bad about your colleagues, which makes you an outcast, not in a way of, wow, you're a badass. No, you're out of the game of research. You're unreliable as a source. While Neil deGrasse will be a lot more reliable independently from how he may talk down to a mystic or not, doesn't matter. He's reliable because he follows the rules. You, at this point, are not reliable, and you just want your little group. And so, like the flat earthers, have fun with each other. Anyone who's smart will know that. Anyone who wants to hear what they want to hear, they will actually put on their little pedestals these people. My scientists say, those scientists say, so you don't know how it works, huh, in the real world. Let me think. In and out group, anyone? I find it buffoonery when those who think that they're grown-ups pick one side or another side versus noticing we don't know everything, because that's the whole point. We have different specialized subject matter experts. If they're actually specialized and caring about what they do, they stay in school and they stay with their peers, and they don't care about how they get chased down the hallways or not. They will continue to mingle and tingle with each other. I got out of the academia field on purpose. I'm a content creator and solopreneur on purpose. I create a community the way that I'm choosing to, so that we can hang out and do growth together on purpose. Every single thing I do, it's on purpose, knowing exactly what I'm presenting. And when people doubt it, I know why. And then when they give me good feedback and good thoughts, I know why. And when they give me something that I don't need to use, I still listen to it. Because there are always people who will be from those groups of people who have feedback. And then I know how to answer someone who calls my content pseudoscience bullshit, self-help crap. Yes, that was one of my most important interactions yet, because he presented a very valid point. It is pseudoscience and it is self-help. It's just not crap, and it's just not bullshit for the people who actively know personal growth and spiritual growth. So people who don't want to be their self, they won't be back here, because that's exactly why they'll be following some of those one size fits all. They know everything versus no, you don't. So human secondary consciousness, you're not uncomfortable with the unknown. 50-50. All relationships are always 50-50. I ain't watching my fucking back, because the truth is always going to be what comes forth. Because when you're putting up a show, Cusco, what's up? Your show is going to come crumbling down, because all it is a performance, because you're afraid of being rejected, because you actually didn't welcome yourself with all your flaws. And because you're acting it and you're not the real thing, you're going to have tired moments. And that's why I'm going to see all of your 1, 2, 3, 4 by the 5th hand. Hey, Cusco, got your MO down to a track. You are doing fabulous. Thanks so much for showing up, because, you know, at the end of the day, mostly immature people, like my facade friend, they just want pats on the back. I don't pat them, but I hug them, and then I'm like, yeah, of course I love and accept and respect you. I know you don't love or accept or respect me completely. My facade friend, I talked to him for 2 whole days. This is a very important conversation, and I remember it, and I'm not upset at him. Thanks to my facade friend, I don't yell at people in their face. Thanks to attachment trauma educators, I'm a better person, because I know when I'm dealing with someone who doesn't need anything from me, but they also don't want it. And I don't want to waste my breath on those who don't want to take the free will they have to actually get to their highest timeline, because why would I waste my time on someone who doesn't want what is best for them? They don't want to be their self. They don't want the best for me either, because if they did, that's the whole point. Like my facade friend, as he's not telling me that he doesn't believe in God because he's trying to be nice about it, You're not being nice. Now you have allowed me to talk about something important to me in ways that are completely, to me, minimal. They don't mean anything. Because, see, while I'll take a scientist talking down to me, I won't actually share in a conversation things that are precious to me with someone who is going to treat them like pieces of thin air. Because that's how it works when you own the sense of self and you own your life. So the depths of you comes with you. And when you're sharing it, you're not caring to share with people who are closed off. People who are closed off, it's because they're pretending to be something they're not. And their 8-year-old is not in any way, they're not using a prefrontal. Doesn't matter what words I speak. If you're yourself, that's great. You're going to be yourself. If you're not, it doesn't matter what I just said, because people who don't own their subconscious, they end up like my facade friend. And then you just end up noticing how disconnected there are moments of conversations with people that I, to this day, I'm like, thank goodness I'm not near any of them that much, because I don't think I could handle staring. I'm going to have to use some reframe at some point, as that's how it works. You think, how can I respect people who didn't actually make the choice of getting to the bright sides of neuroplasticity, because their emotional body was disconnected because of a lot of reasons that I don't need to be getting into and that I can understand. So you want to respect and accept all, because at the end of the day, nobody chooses to be that fetus and that 0-1-year-old and 2 and 3 that is traumatized to the extent of where then you're going to carry it on, which is why I don't look up to any of those who say they're not healable, and I don't look down to them either. I just say, I know who you're there for, the mediocre people who are not dangerous, the ones who like to give SCART letters and then they like to talk about good and bad, and they don't even know that they're actually assholes. I can be an asshole too, because I'm not helpless, and I think nobody is, because you have free will to choose to get your window of welcome on. And the people say it's hard. I say, I didn't say it was easy. I just said you have an opportunity. It's not that easy, meaning it's not black and white. No, it's not. But then again, why can't someone who knows how to do emotional mastery say it is that easy? It is that straightforward. You have an option. You have a solution to your low frequency. You can say, I don't want it, and I want to stay in my low frequency. That then is not a problem. You've committed to your low frequency. Take ownership of the lack of self-regulation that you do not want. Take ownership of the fact that you will want unhealthy self-soothing. Avoidant who says all people are fucked up. That's why she's not doing journalism, meditation, and all of it. No, people aren't fucked up. That's a lame-ass teenager excuse. It's a sentence that comes out of your mouth so that you can justify whining a little bit more about something that is healable. And when someone says, let me brainwash myself, you're not an object. You're brainwashing yourself. You might think it works that way. You're dehumanizing and distancing yourself from your human story. That's because it's that hard for you to understand. So this is where my brain goes when I'm hearing people act like teenagers on YouTube. Because if they understood what the therapists are trying to say, which is why you only taste a sliver, quote unquote, you do a little bit at a time. So have any of you ever had panic attacks? I've had panic attacks, okay? So I know what it's like when you're recuperating. Have any of you had things come up? When I got into that one lovely little theater thing with anger, whatever came up, that was a charge. That was of Maria from whatever 3-year-old, I don't know what moment in my life, but I knew it because you get tired. So your body actively brought forth something. This is why it doesn't need to be conversed about once it's up. You didn't suppress it with any unhealthy self-soothing stuff. No drinking, no fucking, no drugging, none of that. You actually are aware of it with your humanness, and then you say, okay, cool. I knew personally that if I had journaled or had a group to do things with, this is why we have the paid content. This is why I want us to do our work with our 8th and 9th chakra and other aspects that I'm still journaling about and writing and organizing. But my point is, you'll know that you are actively healing something because of how you'll feel. So if you have a window of welcome to your emotional plane, you now know when your window of tolerance is being a little bit, so it's like a rubber band, but you keep on expanding it because you anchored in ventral energy. That's an emotionally intelligent, mentally intelligent, physically intelligent, and a master of oneself person, being yourself. I don't know all the depth to it. Now that I do, all I can tell you is self-led people easily do it. Right here, I was a teenager, never lost one piece of me. The only time I had this thing, and I talked about it in our shows, the audio one, and that was because I wasn't attachment trauma educated. And today, with attachment trauma education, I can tell you it is very disappointing consistently to meet those bad grown-ups. I don't appreciate any of them. because it's thanks to their ignorance. No, it's I don't even want to go there, because I personally do not appreciate journalists either. When I found out what bleeds leads, seriously, you don't care about your profession. If you cared about your profession, you would have kept it where you're giving me the data. People don't want the data. No, people do want information. Some of us are intellectually interested. We don't want your biases with manipulative adjectives. Some of us care to hear the truth. Those who don't, what? So you're going to allow the ignorant, and at the end of the day, that is where, when some of those channelers and downloaders from other groups that I've seen their interviews, they come in and they have their beings, or however they call it, they talk about our species as a teenager or whatever, and it's like, yeah, no, that's not. We have a group of adaptive child part, and then we got a group of people who are grown-ups, and that's it. It's not needing to be a bunch of, humanity is a big bunch of 8 billion people. So making it into a blanket statement, while I do know that I spot 3D 4D just as much as anybody else, when I'm having individual conversations with people, there's a lot of them that have depth. When I'm meeting the smart academics, they have depth. So the reality is, it's not all of humanity. And I wouldn't give it a percentage, definitely not. But we'll have some more for the full moon. In the meantime, the stories and the points of views. Being yourself is fun. Since as a teenager, I've been having fun being Maria. As a grown-up, I'm even having more fun. In fact, I love that the teenage boyfriend broke up with me. And when he did, I said, the grown-ups do some things. They don't know all things. I love him just the same like her. I am happy that we became friends again. And I'm disappointed? No, I'm aware of how weird humans are. Meaning my friends, none of them supported me. They all would say the same things. What, you want to be friends with them? They betrayed you. No, they made choices. They didn't betray me. I'm not in a physical war. I don't need you to be, what is this word? Why are you still using it as a grown-up? I don't understand. Don't you know what cowards do? The same thing over and over again. So today I have the word for you. It's called shame, defectiveness. It's healable with therapists. Once somebody owns themselves and they become authentic, they have no problem owning up to shit. And then they can say, yeah, I'm a smoker. What do you want? Oh, sure. Cancer. Okay. Are you done? Because I'm out in the open right now, and your stare is making me look like, I don't know. What do? Are you drinking? Are you smoking some weed? What would you want? You want to look at me disgusted? Sure. Keep on doing it, hypocrite. This is how it feels when you're meeting people who pick what they like and don't like. If you want to be consistent, then you live a moderate life with all of it. And here's where it's actually, first of all, your embodied brain, and then everything else. But can I prove it? No. But I sure as heck know who can. I just don't have all their names all organized, but I know that they're doing the quantitative data analysis. As for me, I'm just using my mouth. Look, blah, 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 blah. No, I'm not just using it. But the point is that those who do understand how this works, that's why we know where the data's at, then we know where the different versions of that, which is qualitative analysis, is at. We don't pick one, because there's a bunch of different ways. Empowered masculines with empowered feminines, we all understand why it's not a one-size-fits-all. So all of God's children are special. The ones who have low frequency are not monsters. That they have a very specific, unfortunate business going on, yes. And that's why we don't dehumanize them. The ones who are overflowing in their humanity, like Sadhguru will have shared, divinity descends. We just don't say we're divine in that way, because we are humans in flesh. And so we're a piece of the same cloth. Yes, that's exactly why I never moved away from my good Christian Catholic upbringing. We all are children of God, and the ones who were supposed to be voices of reason, of love, of encouragement, of strength, of comfort, and of challenge do not present a challenge. They present what is ignorance, shame in an unhealthy way. They present more ignorance, more physical violence. They allow men, women, and theys to be completely full of charges. That is not only not leadership-like, it's dishonorable. And the fact that they think they know shit is because the left brain alone is ego, which you'll always notice is an asshole, like a real kind. Meaning they think with their little swords that they're doing some shit. You know what happens when you actually meet them? Again, I've met them. They're not monsters. When someone's wielding their mouth in ways that they think they have gotten under your skin, you say, did you just say that? Wow, I actually didn't. This is one of my friends I'll never forget. So whenever you're meeting a person who's emotionally charged because they're upset and they're playing out their projection time, this was a moment where my friend, and it was hilarious because they went and did the low blow thing. Maybe that's why. And I'm not repeating it because we already talked about it, but I was like, yeah, okay, that didn't actually hurt my feelings. And I love when I see, and ICABM shares these little clips where they're like, when somebody thinks they can hurt your feelings, but you're a therapist. I'm like, yeah, some of us are emotionally intelligent mentors, not therapists. But yeah, when someone comes in thinking they can hurt our feelings, it's like, wow, I got another not securely attached person in front of me. What actually is very saddening, and this has only happened a number of times until I then became aware of all of it, which I knew I would have answers. But yeah, being accused of not wanting the well-being of someone you love, like not just accused, like committed to believing it. So it's even more like saddening and heartbreaking than like the teenage boyfriend saying, you only believe because you're afraid of death. No, I'm not. So when people have effective realism, meaning their feelings are so strong that they believe their thoughts are facts. And so somebody coming in, when you are able to pick up on your own nervous system and be yourself, and then on others, that's the somatic empath, you'll always pick up on that which is in your biosphere. And so in this instance, I knew, like I did in a series of interactions, that this was the confirmed actual thought and feeling. And so to actually have someone you love completely think you're trying to derail them, and it doesn't feel like betrayal. It's just like, wow, really? Like after like half your lifetime knowing people, you would ever, like my facade friend, I remember when he wrote me, so are you happy now? I don't know what you're talking about. She's cheating on me. No, you know me better than that. I don't get happy about your misery, but I'm not talking to you, as you know, because this is where my friend, I wasn't talking to him in those 5 years. And I'm like, I'm at a funeral, I have to go. And that was it. And then we became friends once he was in this shithole, because my friend doesn't have any friends. In fact, to this day, my friend has me, and he has now his partner, and that's it. And that's what happens to people who don't heal themselves and become people who love more people. Now, does he have some friends? Well, let's see. The one friend who left him home vomiting, and he doesn't really talk to him. There's another person that really, then there's other people. They're really acquaintances. Okay, so a person who doesn't grow self-esteem, doesn't grow self-empowered, doesn't grow to be their self, has a very small... I have a bunch of people that I actually consider friends. Do they consider me friends? Depends on their mentality, but you better bet that I do believe yes. But I know a cynic who thinks that you can't love each other or be friends or cry all of a sudden, because that's not how the world works. So if you meet people who don't believe in friendship and who don't believe in people and relationships, and who are always thinking about watching their fucking back, so, teenagers, I already am thinking in the good times and bad times. So for me, friends means more than when I was a teenager. The BFF of all times, remember? I was like, so why did you lie to me? You're my BFF of all times. You know everything about me. That was not the only time that happened. There's other times that things happen. And every time it's happened, like, I thought I told them stuff. And so when people, instead of hearing who you are, they come in and think that you're supposed to behave the way they behave. So that's why I don't base society's ideas. They don't tell me about integrity. No. That's why with the polyamory, monoamory community, it's not in competition. And anytime I'm meeting individuals who trend, teenagers, are you done belonging to one group or another group? Don't you know how we can have differences and still be like talking to each other? Emotionally mature people do this, okay? So it's only the emotionally immature people that don't know how to have a good time with all words. And then that when it comes to humanities and social sciences, so I'm speaking in ways that even academics who are intellectually and emotionally interested will enjoy. I really didn't think that we'd have so many grown-ups who would be so petty. Now that I'm seeing it, I'm just trying to let you know, yes, the petty ones, they can continue being petty. Let's have fun with interesting topics. I still love to read a lot. I'm still doing my courses, and so our community gets to build with people who can talk about the changes that are happening in the absence of creating two groups, because it's not two. So again, love is where it's different for every person. It can be monoamory, polyamory, friends. It's different for every person. Platonic, not platonic. Those who are confused by it, the ones who are, in fact, they're not mentally, emotionally, or physically a master of their 14-month-old yet. So I'm just going to let you sit with that one. And so when you have a lack of emotionally intelligent, mental, master of oneself person, they will come in and have questions, but their questions are, if they're curious, it's because they're whole and are cool with expanding their self. If they're curious in a way of, I'm uncertain with it, then it depends, because if they continue to disregard that their emotions are part of the equation, then they'll disregard that they have likes and dislikes. Well, if they own, I have likes and dislikes, then they can have a nice conversation with us about the different opinions. And I do know I still have charges that I work with words. So, for example, I don't have the opportunity to always talk to academics, but when I'm having lives at times, I get to exchange chit-chat with different types of people from that, which is fun and nice. And so it is definitely beautiful to be able to exchange those expanded biospheres with people that you don't know, because again, we'll pick up on each other. But the ones who you really have fun with are the ones who have fun with words and topics, and they're not thinking in ways of what I like or don't like defensively. So they're just thinking of, wow, there's a lot of different ways people love. Wow, there's a lot of different ways people have friends. The ones who need it to be all boxed up, that's exactly why adaptive child part people are limited consciousness, uninteresting, because they get rigid and or chaotic, and then they begin to give you their list of why they're right, you're wrong, or it has to be this way. And it's like, okay, look, I'm not trying to tell you. And that's when you know they're not a reparented version or a grown-up version of themselves. That's what the adaptive child, it's a child version of what a grown-up coulda, shoulda, woulda done, so they get rigid or chaotic because now their identity is threatened, which nobody's threatening your identity. You can believe, think whatever you want. You can talk about it and accept that we are different in a way that has a fun time together, versus we're trying to make everybody the same, which, again, then they're threatened. So with polyamory, people will be like, you're whores, you're masochist, you don't love. The other ones, you're not poly, not, that's a whole other story. So when you meet people who feel threatened by something like this, it's really fascinating. As a grown woman, when you meet people who understand that there's differences, it's nice. And when you have a good time either way, it's fun. So I've always had fun. I am not offended by the ones who actually don't know what it is. I actually didn't find it beautiful to know that people who are polyamorous, like, ew, polygamy. It's like, okay, I'm not interested in that, but ew, really? I mean, we don't have to go there like that. And then I found out that there's a bunch of them are like, we're not being accepted in this group and that group. So when you're using words to then be welcomed and accepted in a way that's, you're looking for reassurance. So use your human name, allow yourself to know you're a person, and then get mentally, emotionally, physically mature with yourself. Know that you will be rejected. I was rejected at 4. Like the guy who's like, yeah, you're going to be rejected, Marie, I'm sorry. I got looked at like I was a whack job when I talked about demonic possession. And I'm like, yeah, so I came out as a mystic. No, I just talked about my mystic life. I didn't come out. And when something, you're welcome by people. Yeah, because I don't give a shit when they make fun of me and say that my dreams are just dreams and that I'm a whack job, because I don't care about what people that are stupid say. Because anyone who's smart doesn't actually talk down to people, because the only ones who do are grandiose, which means that they're, I might sound like I'm cocky in a way, but no, I'm just like, I have a very good stand in my opinion. I know what it sounds like. My BFF told me that I sounded like a prick. I was like, I'm not a prick, I'm just confident. So confidence isn't always a pleasant one, but anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. So in the meantime, thanks for stopping by. A lot of funny stories, a lot of great times we're going to have as we get to build our community. And thanks for stopping by. We're going to have a special one tomorrow for the full moon. Yay, more ascension energies. And in the meantime, welcome aboard.